Alright, so we're going to do a short tactical video on, and review, I guess, on the Hellflayers of Slaanesh. And this is actually the only new demon that's come out from GW in quite a while. They came out with new models for Flamers and Screamers, but those units already existed, so this one was new. And it's actually probably one of the coolest models they've come out for demons in a long time. It's also the model most likely to actually wound you while you assemble it, because all these really spiky parts are separate and you have to hold them and glue them together and then try to stick them to the base and everything, and you'll probably prod yourself at least once with it. That being said, it's a cool model, and it actually does its job very well for what I think it does in the game. So it's a fast attack, and it's a chariot, so it's one of the two vehicles available to demons, Soul Grinders being the other vehicle. So the Hellflayer is a vehicle chariot. It's one of the only chariots in the game so far. And it has a rider, the Exalted Allurus, and that rider, by the way, can't ever get off the chariot, so she's just kind of like a bonus there. If the chariot dies, the rider dies. Though the rider could die and the chariot continues. So how does this unit work? It deep strikes just like any other demon, and it is a demon, so it has the demon rules, and it has the Daemon Codex rules. So it has a 5-up invulnerable save. It gives off fear. It deep strikes. You can only get one of them, and it's a fast attack, so it competes with Screamers, and Screamers are currently one of the highly effective units in the metagame. But this one only costs 60 points, so 60 points you get one Hellflayer. It's itself gonna be able to do a Hammer of Wrath attacks because it's a chariot, but unlike normal chariots in the core rules, this one has 2 hull points and gets 1 Hammer of Wrath per hull point still on the model. So if it hasn't been shot up the first time it makes its hammer, it's going to get 2 d6 Hammer of Wraths. And unlike normal chariots, this has a special rule which is called the Flesh Shredder, and that means its Hammer of Wraths are strength 4, no AP, but rending, and it specifically says it has rending. So unlike traditional Hammer of Wraths, this one has the possibility of rending and thus being AP 2, or damaging vehicles with an extra D3. Now, what else? The Exalted Allurus, she's going to be standing on top of it, and she's a pretty decent combat character. She's got a weapon skill of 5, so she's most likely going to be hitting on 3s against your typical units, and she'll be clearly hitting on 4s against pretty much everyone else. The Exalted Allurus has a special power which is called Soul Scent. When a model with this special rule comes to make a close combat attack, they gain a number of bonus attacks equal to the number of unsaved wounds inflicted by the Hellflayer's Hammer of Wrath. So she starts with 4 base attacks, 5 on the charge. She's weapon skill 5, and she is a rending character also. And she has assault and defensive grenades, which is important to know because that means the vehicle has it. You get a number of extra attacks for every unsaved wound from those d6 or 2d6 rending Hammer of Wrath, so she could potentially get a lot of attacks. I mean, if you maxed it out, you'd get 12 wounds from the Hammer of Wrath plus her 5 during a charge, which basically means a lot of attacks. And clearly, you're probably not going to get most of those, but you never know, you might. Alright, is there anything else special for this vehicle? It's fleet. So, you get to reroll your charge distance, which is important. The downside to this vehicle is it does not have the ability to move through cover without being, risking itself to being immobilized. It could. It doesn't have any special resistance to being immobilized, and if it does get immobilized, it's just sitting there and kind of will be ignored. So, it's also open-topped, which means you're actually likely to explode, or more likely to explode if you get shot. And with a armor of 11, except on the rear where it's 10. You know, it's a rhino, so it doesn't hold up well to being shot at. So why do I say it's actually worth its points? Because originally I looked at it and I said, yeah, this thing's kind of a waste of points. But I've used it several times, and it does exactly what I think it's built to do. It's a large, impressive-looking model. It essentially, people feel they have to shoot it. At 60 points, it's an awesome fire magnet, because this has got one of the biggest bases in the Demon game. You put it down and make it look threatening, and it does look threatening. And it can, you know, just take out an infantry unit with those 2d6 attacks if someone doesn't damage it, so it is a threat, but people just feel they have to focus on it because it's so big and scary looking, and that means for 60 points you can almost guarantee that 1 or 2 units are going to ignore your high point valuable units and shoot at a cheap but impressive looking chariot. And so that's actually my opinion on this, is that it's really great as a diversion. And if it is ignored, it does have the possibility of tearing up some troops, but probably isn't going to do much else unless you're really lucky.